Welcome back at the table, guys. Just to put you back in the mood, I just showed a bluff or two, and seat 5 and seat 9 are going crazy. They've been playing almost every hand. The guy on my right adds a bit of spice to the table too, and in that 4-way limp pot, I got Jack 4 and he takes the lead on Jack 10 9 deuce with 2 clubs and 2 spades. I saw him bet way too light once or twice, so happy to raise small to deny him some equity and value some 10x or draws. He calls and the river is an ace of spades, bringing in the backdoor flush. Happy to show my hand down now, but it donks for 60, and well, that's pretty weird, but he could definitely have a flush or ace 10 here. Nothing to do but fold. Nice answer, and I will definitely get my revenge. Next up, I saw a limp from seat 5 with king 8 suited and flop pretty well on king 9. Well, he is way too sticky, and I don't think that's the kind of board he's gonna bluff a lot if I check, really. So I decide to bet small, keeping a pretty wide range. He calls and the turn is a 3. As he got a wide range, I don't mind checking. I mean, if he has something like Jack 8 suited, it's gonna be very tempting to bluff for him on the river, and he could even value bet with his 9x and stuff, putting me on ace high. So I like the check. Here, I decided to bet 100, getting max value from any pair. As we said in the previous vlog, that he's a strong believer, and he called me twice with 4s on an S10 high flop. He does something I didn't expect, and he clicks me back to 200. What I don't think he has a king here, definitely. I want to give him hope to bluff, and if he's raising thin with like pocket 10s or a 9, it's going to be tough for me to get more value unless I raise small or don't bet the turn, but I think calling is better. We've seen him bluff in a pretty weird spot on the river before. Anyway, long story short, the river is an ace, not the best one for him to bluff or value thin, and I decide to check, hoping for him to spaz, but it checks back and shows me 9-8 offsuit. Well, win is a win. Next then, I'm on tilt as I asked for an espresso, but the waitress brought me just a regular coffee, but in a small cup, and that's an insult to an Italian. But anyway, I had to punish someone at the table for that. I raised to 50 from the button with ace-9 of spades, over 3 limps, and 2 guys make the call. The flop is pretty good, queen 3 deuce with 2 spades, but seat 3 only has around 200 behind. Gonna be tough to multi-barrel him off a pair, and I need to stop bluffing seat 5, so I decided to check this time. Happy to set them up if a spade hits the turn too. Fortunately, the turn is a 5 of diamonds. Second flush draw appears, but I grab a gut shot. After 10 seconds, seat 3 decides to jam his 215 in, and it looks like he hesitated a bit. He's probably gonna have a queen often, against which I have decent equity, but he might have smaller draws too. Lower spades or diamonds, suited connectors. Anyway, I rethink about my coffee and I have to make the call. Lucky for me, I make the absolute nuts on the 7 of spades and it shows ace-jack of diamonds. Then I got pretty lucky, but I guess fortune favors the ball, right? One hand later, I get a good hand once more, ace-jack of clubs in the cutoff. People think I'm crazy as I raise way too frequently, but I mean, I've had decent holdings so far. I raise over a limp, and guess who do I go 3-way to the flop with? Yeah, flop ain't too bad, 10-5-3 with 2 clubs. I've got pretty good equity and want to build a pot, so I see bet 250 and only seat 5 calls me. We pink the ace of hearts on the turn, and with top pair and a flush draw, no way I check it back against a guy capable of calling me very marginal hand, so I make it 150 and of course he calls. Should have make it at least 200, I think. River is not the best one. The 4 of hearts bringing in the flush and 4-2 of straights, and what do you know, he donk bets for 225. Well, he gives me pretty good odds. I don't think any worse hand is gonna call me, and he's capable of having weird stuff in that spot, definitely. So I just make the smooth call and he shows 6-3 offsuit. Damn, I wasn't expecting that particular hand, but definitely gonna take notes on that showdown. Well, we are cruising so far, making hands and getting value. I'm currently up almost 1600, so let's keep it that way. I give them a break for a few hands, but the bowling starts back under the gun +1 when I raise to 35 over a limp with 6-5 hearts. We end up 3-way to queen 9-6 with 2 spades, and I guess I'm gonna become the bolid. Don't really want to bet on that flop. If I want to bluff it, I'm gonna need to bet multiple streets, and I don't want to try big bluffs anymore at that table given my image. Anyway, I check, trying to reach showdown, and they both check too, but I end up check folding on an 8 on the turn. Next hand, once again, God, I can't even take a bathroom break. I open to 25 from under the gun with my birth here, 99, and the big blind makes the call. I guess the sun run is still on my side as I flop top set on 974 with 2 clubs. He checks and I decide to check back. He's not that deep, so I don't absolutely need to build a pot to stack him. Happy to let him hit something on the turn or even bluff. As we saw, he's capable of betting his draws pretty frequently. The turn is a jack of clubs, flush gets in, and he bets 40. Time to punish his stickiness. I make it 150, planning on jamming any non-club river. He takes a fair amount of time and ends up calling. The river is a 4 of hearts, giving me a bolt. Nothing else to do but jam for his approximately 300 bucks, but unfortunately he makes the fold. Must be some kind of flush draw, because I don't see him ever folding a jack here. Next round, we got big slick in the low jack. I make it 35 over straddle, and looking back on it, I should just open everything to at least 50. No one cared about my pre-flop sizings at the table anyway. Gentleman on my left, fairly tight, 3-bets me to 85 and sit 9 call calls. Well, I don't want to isolate myself against sit 8s, so very happy to call and keep sit 9 in with a bunch of hands I dominate. Flop is not too bad, queen jack jack rainbow. Not gonna lead here, but pretty interesting development when everybody checks and the turn is a queen. The hijack might check a good amount of his aces and kings, but I think ace queen is gonna c-bet more often. Sit 9 is gonna bet all queens or jacks in my opinion, so on that turn no one really has the nuts except for me, and if they have it, God bless them. So I bet 115, targeting ace king, aces or kings on my left. He's gonna snap fold these low counterfeited pairs anyway, so I'm happy to steal that 5% equity. No need to bet too big as I have many nuts in my range and it works. Hand alert of that vlog, and it's a painful one, be ready guys. The cutoff lips over my straddle and the button raises to 25. Pretty small sizing. Nothing to be scared of. Seat 5 makes the call and I wake up with big slick once again in the straddle. While nothing else to do than squeeze, I make it 140, expecting for everyone to fold or maybe a call from seat 5. But our favorite grandpa shuffles his cards, shuffles again, and he ends up slamming his 418 bucks on the field. Well, he probably would have done it faster with aces or kings. I feel like he had a decision here like ace queen or pocket pair. Maybe he's tired of me raising every hand too. Well, everybody folds and I call, right? Nah, after taking 4 minutes, seat 5 ends up flat calling. What the hell is happening? Well, I'm not gonna go anywhere. Good luck guys. I jump for his 922. I should be in decent shape often. Seat 5 can't have that strong of a hand after calling the 15. After calling the 25, we just need to hit an ace, but the board comes 9, 5, 10, 2 hearts, a 4, a 3 on the river. That's gonna be tough to win, but you never know. Nah, seat 5 shows a set, pocket 9s, and he scoops us that almost $2,500 spot. Not gonna let him with all these chips, I'm gonna find a way to win them back. Chip stack looks less impressive, but no need to panic. Ace queen is a good medicine to my pain. Seat 5 limps, and the guy to my red raises to 35. I decide to make the call this time, keeping everybody in the pot with hands I will dominate a lot if I make a top pair. No surprise, 5 ways to a flop of ace queen 4 with 2 clubs. I learned my lesson. When everybody checks, I bet 100 right away. Many lower ace-x to get value from or straight draws. Guy to my left calls and we're heads up on a brick 7. While he has around 6 or 700 bucks behind, I want to get everything on the river, so I bet a size is very likely to call and feel committed on the river. But unfortunately, he finds the correct fold that time. I'm getting tired of repeating the same scenario for everyone, but what can I do? Straddle is on, 2 limps, I make it 80 with queen jack of suit from the small blind, and seat 9 makes the call. Heads up to 10-6-3 with 2 diamonds, and he calls way too much pre-flop, so that's a flop he's gonna miss fairly often. He has been calling in a lot, but he folded to a few small c-bets when he had absolutely nothing, so happy to try my luck here with a bet of 65. Unfortunately, he called and the turn is a 7, connecting many hands he could have called with, so knowing him pretty well now, not gonna try to 3-ball him off his hand, I just check and give it up. I fold a few hands to them and I've been degrinding a lot since my high point. I need to find something to turn the momentum back around. Something like ace 8 offsuit in the straddle, perfect. 3 guys limp and I check it. Board comes ace-8-6 with 2 spades and no time to waste. They have almost any 2 here, so happy to lead and build a pot directly. I lead to 35 and both my best friends make the call. Turn is a 5 of spades. They have many flushes now. Could bet small to keep value betting aces and draws, but I decided to check here. Probably bet big on the river if it gets checked through. That's what happens, but c5 leads for 50 on a jack river. Well, I saw him do weird sizing once or twice, so I don't completely rule out flushes here. I know he can call worse, probably, but in the scenario where he has some flushes, my raise isn't gonna be that profitable, so I ended up just calling, and we get a bonus for being a pussy, as the c9 calls too, and I scoop them both with their s3 and ace10. Damn, if that wasn't a spade, I would have been a millionaire. A squeeze with queens, an open r2, and we scoop a good one with ace-10 of suit against c9. I jammed on the river with top pair, top kicker, but he found the fold. Not changing a winning team, I go for it again with ace-10 off, isolating 2 limps to 50. c5 calls, and I make top pair again on 10 for deuce with 2 clubs. Pretty good. I have the backdoor nut flush draw too, so I don't waste time and bet 75. I never saw him fold the flop, so of course he calls, and the turn is a queen of clubs. He has some flushes, but a very low amount of queens, so not the worst card. I decided to bet again here, as we saw him call with fair weekends before. He can still have naked clubs or low pairs he's willing to see a river with. Talking about river, it's an ace, giving me 2 pairs. Don't think I needed it, but thank you, dealer. And to add some spice to the end, he leads for 120. While I think his flushes are mainly gonna raise the turn or don't bet a bit bigger, 120 is a really small sizing. We saw him lead before with top pairs, etc. So I make 275. Not too big, just want to get called by anything he decided to bet to punish him. But what do I know? He snap calls me with 7-5 of clubs. Didn't expect that. Nice sense, sir. I guess you got me on that one. The night's progressing. It's now 10 p.m. and I know they're not gonna stay here super late, so if I want their money, I need to bump up the pressure. I'm currently up around 350 and I'm not satisfied. Let's finish the night well. A few small pots and time to play a big one. I raise 250 over the straddle from c5 with 8-9 of clubs, and we go once more 3-way to a flop. I feel like we're playing a spin and go here. The board comes jack 9-5 rainbow, and I decided to check, not having 3 barrels. I'm gonna be able to value bet starting on the turn if it checks around. Unfortunately it doesn't. c9 bets 130 and I'm getting pretty good implied odds. He could have a bluff that he will give up sometimes too, so I make the call one time. Some decent things could happen on the turn, like that beautiful 10 of diamonds, for example. I check and he snap bets 300. Well, no need to slow play anymore, it doesn't have that much behind anyway. I call to get everything in on a 10 or a 9, so let's stack a jack, right? I jam and he calls quickly. Looks like I'm in a pretty good shape, but the river is the worst. A jack of spades killed me, but wait, he doesn't show his end. Maybe he had 9-5 and we just got super lucky. He looks at his cards for 5 seconds and shows queen 10 without even knowing that he wins, I think. What a slow roll. Well, that's unfortunate. He almost mucked it. I would have been very happy, and we're in the hole now. After being almost up 2k, that's a painful one to swallow. I am on extreme tilt after that 10 and I need to cool down. No better way than isolating c5 from the straddle with jack 4 offsuit and winning it with a c-bet on king 5-3.
Bluff of the year.
Next up, not gonna fold anything now. I raise with ace 4 of hearts 250 over c5 limp and we go 3-way to a flop. 7-3 deuce with 1 heart again. Pretty wide ranges. I said I would stop bluffing, but it was before I was down. So no more strategy here. Just gonna blast and super roll on overcards. I bet 110 and they both call. Whoops, I hoped I would fold at least one, but the turn is just magical, a jack of hearts. Perfect to barrel, I have equity. I have fold equity too, in my opinion. Not sure about that, but only one way to know. I bet 325 and after one painful minute, they both end up folding and I obviously show them the bad news strictly for ego boosting purposes. Very next hand, same setup, I raise 250 again and they both call. The board is pretty bad, queen 10-3 with 1 spade. But the turn gives me a flush draw, so I bet it after everybody checks again and I make a flush on the 7 of spades on the river. Unfortunately, c5 folds to my $200 bet. He must have had a misdraw, I don't think he was folding any pair here. Well, it's that time of the night, c5 racked his massive profit and just left, so the table took a hit. c9 is still here, but it doesn't have that much in front of him. I haven't playing for a while now, so I'm gonna leave soon, I think. Playing 1 or 2 last hands. Here I could not record the pre-flop, but I 3-bet 250 over 15 bucks open to my right and 3 persons called. The flop is above average in the form of 8-7-7 with 2 spades. Unfortunately, someone just made quad kings, so I will not win the high hand of the hour. Everybody checks and I check it back. Happy to let them hit a top pair with their pretty wide ranges. Not so many over pairs I can get 3 streets from anyway, and I don't need protection. The turn is a deuce, opening a second flush draw of clubs, and he bets 105 on my right. Well, for way, I for sure thinks he has a value hand, so no slow playing here. I raise to 275 now that I know he has a good hand, and he calls. The river is a queen of spades, and he's mainly gonna have a middling pair now, like 9s or 10s, so no need to bet too big. What's cool too is that if he somehow has a flush, he will raise all in my opinion, against that small size to value my aces and kings. After a long tank, he finally puts his chips in the middle, and I scoop that big pot. I'm tired and the table is a bit less interesting. I bluffed C9 one last time after opening Jack 3 of clubs from the button and betting it on the river on 9-6-5 Queen Ace, and I call it a night. I rack my chips and head back to the cashier, happy to finish that very swingy night in profit thanks to the quads. Hi guys, thank you for staying till the end. Hope you like the vlog. A couple big pots. A couple rivers away from one of my biggest wins ever in 2-5. Well, I'm gonna let you with some images of the French Alps. I'm staying here for 3-4 days skiing with some friends, with my girlfriend that you just saw, and well, the view is pretty fucked up. Well, see you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on to the next one.